Thousands of people are reported missing every year.
Now, roughly 40% are people of color, but the cases that become household names are usually white women.
Investigator Jessica Larche joining us now, and you've been digging into this.
Yeah, this is a problem even Gabby Petito's father addressed about the disparity of national news coverage when his daughter was missing. Take a listen to what he had to say during one of those national news conferences.
To be honest, it should continue for other people too. This same type of heightened awareness should be continued for everyone. Everyone.
So why does this unbalanced media coverage exist? My investigation gets to the core of an issue that's causing so many cases to slip through the cracks.
I would like to thank everybody for their help. And I would like appreciate a lot if you all could bring my kids home.
News 3 shared the cries for help to find Kieran and Chloe Johnson when they vanished from Hampton 4 years ago. But the search for the mother and daughter has yet to draw national attention like Gabby Petito or Natalie Holloway or Elizabeth Smart. The difference, some say, is black and white.
No one, not one person, can name a missing black or brown, male, female, or child that has garnered mainstream media. Not one.
Can you? Name one? While you try, meet Derrica Wilson. She co-founded the Black and Missing Foundation in 2008 to shine a light on the names the world may not know.
You know, every family that has a missing loved one, their heart bleeds the same way.
Wilson, a former deputy sheriff for Arlington County, Virginia, aims to level the playing field for missing people of color, the players, law enforcement, and news organizations.
The media coverage is so critical because it applies pressure also to law enforcement to dedicate additional resources.
The downfall is a lack of diversity. The Pew Research Center says newsrooms are 77% white. We also came across this analysis in the Journal of Criminology and Criminal Justice, taking a look at national coverage of missing persons cases, and it found that black people are significantly underrepresented in coverage, even though minorities make up nearly 40% of all missing cases. It also found that white women were overrepresented. Although they make up about 30% of missing cases, they represented more than 50% of national news coverage.
It's frustrating. It's maddening.
Norfolk psychologist Dr. Barbara Shabazz says inherent bias can make a missing person of color seem less of a priority.
So unconsciously, it makes sense that no one is rushing to come and look for us when we are lost.
There's a lack of diversity in law enforcement, too. An analysis of local police departments nationwide reveals they're nearly 70% white. The Black and Missing Foundation says that can lead to an assumption missing minorities are associated with crime, and missing children of color are often classified as runaways.
So we all know that runaways are not receiving the Amber Alert, and quite frankly, there's really no sense of urgency.
The News 3 I-Team took a closer look at the laws for missing cases. In Virginia, there is no waiting period to report someone missing, and those reports must be shared with state and national databases within 2 hours. Then it's up to each local law enforcement agency to decide how far they go to investigate each case. So we comb through the different policies for the 7 cities. Suffolk's policy, the only one that seems to address potential bias, urges their officers to be cautious in labeling cases, adding that even if first indication suggests a less urgent incident, officers should consider all possibilities until the case category is clearly determined. So the judgment call of who's deemed in danger lies in law enforcement's hands, impacting which cases they share with news organizations, allowing some names and faces to fall through the cracks.
Families are having to hire private investigators. They're having to coordinate their own search team. They're having to create their own flyers because law enforcement is not creating them.
That's where the Black and Missing Foundation helps bridge the gap. They've helped bring closure to 400 families and pressing law enforcement and journalists to devote more resources and airtime to black and brown faces.
It really takes all of us. It takes all of us to help us find us.
So the families of people like Kieran and Chloe Johnson have a chance at bringing them home.
So anything you all can do, help me in any way, please do.
Just heartbreaking there. And you know, this disparity, it is a problem that is causing us to take action here at News 3. And so we are launching an initiative called Have You Seen Me? We've been sharing that with folks already at home. And this is our mission to make sure that we are highlighting missing persons cases, whether that's missing children, children who run away are still missing. And regardless of if they've received an Amber Alert, we're trying to shine a light on these cases.
All right, so let's talk about those alerts. What's the criteria?
So we know about Amber Alerts. You know, those are for children who are 17 and under, but they have to be abducted and in danger. There's also the Ashanti Alert. We know about that here in Hampton Roads. It's named in honor of Ashanti Billy. She was abducted in Virginia Beach in 2017 and found murdered in Charlotte. So the alert named after her, it's a voluntary alert for missing adults ages 18 to 64 who law enforcement consider in danger. This is a step toward bridging the gap, especially for people of color, but this is a subjective alert. We all know that media coverage can help level the playing field that the Black and Missing Foundation spoke about.
So you're also taking a look this week about missing children as well, right?
Yes, especially runaways. And we've looked at the guidelines for each of the 7 cities of what those investigative policies are for runaways, because even if a child ran away, that child is still considered missing. So we're going to tackle that and why those runaway cases don't always get a big response from law enforcement or even from news organizations.
All right, thank you, Jessica.
Now to a News 3 investigation. More than 400 children are missing in Virginia right now, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But most have not received an Amber Alert. That's because many of them are considered runaways. There's often less urgency and resources deployed by law enforcement to find them because they chose to leave.
But it's important to point out here that parents say that does not mean their young children are not in any kind of danger.
And this morning in my investigation, I'm getting to the bottom of the problem in this Have You Seen Me special report.
Every day that passes, I get worried, more worried every day.
13-year-old Angelo Graham's been missing from Williamsburg nearly 2 months.
It's very stressful, a lot of sleepless nights.
We learned about the boy's disappearance when his father called our newsroom last month. He worried James City County Police weren't exhausting every effort to find the boy because he has a history of running away.
Abduction, runaways, all should be treated the same, especially if it's a child, a minor, especially with the type of circumstances that's going on, not in school, not taking his medication, and like I said, he's only 13.
Angelo Graham never received an Amber Alert. Neither did most of the more than 5,000 children reported missing on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's database. That's because Amber Alerts are designed for children 17 and younger who law enforcement believe were abducted and are in danger.
91% of our cases are what we call endangered runaways.
Limi Kong Sofer with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says just because a child ran away doesn't mean they aren't in danger.
They run into potential gang recruitment, certainly violence, being the victims of violence, whether it's physical, sexual abuse, homelessness, protracted homelessness, recruitment into child sex trafficking.
In Virginia, a missing child is anyone under 21 reported missing. There's no waiting period to report a child missing, even if they ran away. Local agencies have 2 hours to forward those reports to state and national databases. Most of the 7 cities call for a search when taking a report for a missing child, but Portsmouth's policy draws a line when it comes to runaways, reading, in cases where the child is 13 and older and is known to be a chronic runaway, a supervisor will determine the extent of the search required. Several of the 7 cities have an age they deem a missing child at risk. The policy in Norfolk, the city with the highest number of open missing cases in Hampton Roads at more than 60, reads, if a missing child is under the age of 9 or is incapacitated or involved in a serious abduction, immediate action is required. The age of at risk in Suffolk is 13 or younger. It's under 12 in Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. So what about the kids older than that who ran away? It's up to each police department to decide how far they go to find them.
We think, okay, they're out there and they walked, on their own accord, but that doesn't mean that there aren't serious incidents of violence against these children.
When it comes to the policy for James City County, where Angelo Graham was reported missing, the policy doesn't give its officers guidelines beyond state code, including initiating an investigation, completing an offense report, and notifying all other law enforcement agencies in the area. All things James City County Police say they're doing to find Angelo Graham, but it won't satisfy a worried dad until his son walks back through the door.
What more can I do to basically beg you guys to step up your efforts?
Now, as for Angelo Graham, James City County Police tell me they believe that he is in Newport News with family, but they have yet to track the boy down in the last 2 months. Now, as for missing children, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children urges parents to make sure they report them to police even if they think their child ran away. Their stance is that a missing child is a missing child. They also say it's important to share your child's photo with police so that way it makes it onto state databases.
If you've been watching, that Jessica has also mentioned the disparity in coverage for people who are people of color who are missing. You did that on Monday morning. So does this apply when it comes to children as well?
Yes. So we looked at an analysis from the Journal of Criminology and Criminal Justice about the disparity in coverage, and it found that especially for missing Black children in national news coverage, there was a huge disparity there. So we see that across the board, whether it's missing adults, missing children, especially for children who are missing because they ran away.
So, okay, if you're a parent watching this morning and they feel they don't do law enforcement, maybe is doing enough, exhausting their resources, what can they do? So
here's the thing. Parents still need to report their child missing to police. That is so police, they have a 2-hour time limit and when they have to get that information to state and national databases. So it's, again, important that you report that to police. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, you can also call them. They have a 24-hour hotline. That number is 1-800-843-5678. That number is on WTKR.com inside this story.
It's missing persons coverage in this series. Have you seen me?
It's where each week News 3 investigators are bringing your attention to 3 missing persons cases out of our area. And today we're highlighting a recent case, an older case, a cold case. Now, have you seen me? This is Layla Farrelly. She is 16 and was last seen on December 8th in Yorktown. She is about 5'4", 130 pounds. Police say she was last seen walking alone on Park Service property. Later that evening, they got a tip that she was in the east end of Newport News. She could be wearing black pants with smiley faces on them, a black shirt, black and white shoes, and carrying a purple backpack. She has short curly hair with purple highlights and pierced ears. And this is Brianna Harmon. She is 23 years old. She's been missing since October 2nd out of Hampton. She's about 5'4", 100 pounds. News 3 investigators spoke with her mother, and she says that it is unlike Brianna to just go without speaking to her. Her mother also cited other strange activity and concerns over her mental health. But Hampton police say that her case is currently not being classified as endangered, citing her most recent financial activity was a pawn shop transaction in L.A. Have you seen me? This is David Blockett. He was stolen from his mother as a baby 41 years ago out of Newport News. News 3 helped get this cold case reopened years ago and work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to develop this age progression of what he may look like today. In fact, tomorrow is the anniversary of his abduction.
All right, and so we have a sketch of the woman, take a look, who took him. She told David's mom that her name was Marie Kelly. She posed as a social worker and promised that she'd bring him back home, but she never did. And that was the last time that his mother held him. December 11th, 1980. David has a mole in his right ear and birthmarks under his left arm and back. Police believe he was raised by the abductor or sold to another family. David's case was one of the first highlighted by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In David's case, again, First, on the National Center for Missing and Endangered Children site, police have set up a special tip line for David's case. If you have any information that can help, call 757-446-1350.
Each Friday, we will profile 3 new missing persons cases here on News 3, and you can also check out our News 3 investigation and all of our missing persons coverage on WTKR.com/Have You Seen Me?